Hi everybody, it's Emily from D.I.Y and welcome to spooky season. I love Halloween. That was like the last video I did of last year was like my Halloween video where I did a pumpkin pincushion DIY. I hope you guys liked that video. If you haven't checked that out or seen it at all, I'm gonna try to link it above. Hopefully you guys like that one. As you can see, I've been sort of decorating my area just a little bit. Obviously I still have some pink things and whatnot over here. I sort of like mix it up with purples and blues and that as well. So I don't do just full-on spooky Halloween, but I feel like if I get a place I probably would go all out. I'm in a little condo in Toronto. If I purchased like a house, I would go all out. Maybe have different rooms for different types of Halloween decor. But anyways, this is kind of an eclectic potion bottle decor video. And I'm just gonna bring this a little closer. Kind of was going for like a fortune teller witchy vibe, I guess. So this is obviously going to be apothecary jars and bottles that are an eclectic theme. Lots of different, either pretty or classic Halloween. Yeah, I really hope you guys like this video. If you love Halloween content or just DIYing stuff or even just buying cool stuff like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you think somebody else is gonna like it, please share with somebody else. So you guys probably want to check out this video. It's very long, as you can see, but I have a lot of different fun ideas in here, and I'm really hoping that you guys like all the different creative ideas that I share with you. Without further ado, on to the DIY. So I bought these guys a while ago. I went on like a haunted walk. I think it was like a couple of years, quite a few years ago probably, for Halloween or around Halloween there's a place in Toronto called Black Creek Pioneer Village. They offer like haunted walk sort of thing, and then they talk about the history of some of the places, because some of the actual houses are from the old Pioneer Village that used to be around here. And then there's some places that were kind of near there and they just sort of moved them over to the village, and now they sort of teach history and stuff like that in that sort of area, and it's really cool. It's a really neat sort of place. Like, yeah, a few years ago I went on this haunted walk, and in the gift shop, because it was Halloween time, they had some cool Halloween stuff, and I really liked these jars and picked them up. So I mean, if you don't like crafting stuff, you can probably find these kind of cool jars anywhere. That's like an option. But if you really like to DIY things, you might want to look into, I don't know if you drink or anything, depends on, I guess, the person that I'm talking to right now, but some people like to drink, and there's different types of, I think this one's actually, yeah, this is a balsamic vinegar. I think we just got this from the grocery store and it looked really cool. Like, I really liked the bottle. So obviously I'm going to take off the labels and all that sort of stuff. But I liked how it had this sort of cork lid. And then this one I think is like just a little thing of tequila that we probably got when we were in Mexico, when we were on our honeymoon. And this has like kind of almost like a mushroom kind of top to it. But I like how they kind of look fancy, but they're oddly shaped jars. I think you just need to look at the potential of these to become, if you want to make them into like a poison bottle or some sort of magic potion or something, depending. So there's this that I think is a really cool option. You can even get like a spice jar. You can probably do something really cool and fancy with it. It's okay if things look all the same and stuff, but I feel like it looks like it's all made by the same person, which is cool if you're like a crafty witch or something like that. But what about the witches that just like to buy random stuff? So I figured getting different shaped bottles, getting different types of logos and different types of labels that doesn't look like it's actually made by the same person might make it look a little more eclectic. It depends on your aesthetics as well, if you want to make it look dark or not. So if you're not into the dark aesthetics of the witchy stuff, there are these kind of bottles. This was like sake that we got at a sushi restaurant, and we were able to take the bottle home. I thought that the bottle was really pretty. Had this beautiful pink fogginess to it. I actually even hate to take the label off because the label's quite pretty too. And this is really nice. This is really cool. It's like a phoenix kind of thing on this lid. So I might not do too much with that, but this is beautiful, I think, for leaving empty or just having it in your craft room or on your shelf. You could even put some sparkles or something in it to make it look even more magical. So there's like all sorts of stuff you could do. So if you're not into Halloweeny dark stuff and you're into more cutesy pastel-y stuff, that's okay, because there's a thing called Pasteloween, so you can actually get into that. And this could be like a fairy jar or pixie dust bottle, but something like this is really cool. So I would say keep your eye out for really neat bottles like this. In keeping with the kind of pretty theme, there's also these beautiful blue bottles you can get as well. They kind of look beachy, but also can look a little spooky depending on how
you dress it up. And this one has a lid, which is really nice, that you can sort of alter. And if you want to, you can actually put something in this, depending if you want to do that sort of thing too. This, clearly I'm Canadian, I guess. This is actually not something that I drink. My husband drank this. I'm not really that into sparkling water beverages, but he's kind of into that sort of thing. So like, even this is kind of like a neat looking bottle. It's really long. You want to have different sizes and different shapes if you're going to go for a more eclectic look. Also, another thing, some people are doing really, really tiny small jars, but they're all kind of like the same size. This one's kind of like a nice small one too. Like this can go with this guy. This is a Tabasco hot sauce. Mind you, it takes a while to clean one of these things out. It took me a while to get all the soap out of it. They basically just ran it under the water while the faucet was kind of going, and then the bubbles just sort of bubble up to the top. I had to do that like 3 times maybe before it was like running clear. And then because you have to shake the liquid out of a lot of these bottles, so I had to shake the water out quite a bit before it was fully clean on the inside. But yeah, so there's that. You guys have already seen me with the jam jars, but you could put like a bunch of spiders or a bunch of little fun crafty things or something that's like Halloween based, googly eyes, whatever, all sorts of really cute things, maybe even just little eyeballs or something. But you can use jam jars for all sorts of spooky Halloween stuff as well. And another thing that I think most people have seen kind of floating around on Pinterest is using a pickle jar. I know that there's the head thing. You sort of print out someone's head, stretch it out first in Photoshop, and you print it out and then you sort of stick it in a jar so it looks like a floating head, almost Futurama style. So that's kind of like a fun thing to do as well. Think outside the box and think about stuff that looks like everyday bottles or jars for a more eclectic collection. Yeah, you can easily do this on a budget, especially if you like to collect them over the years, which I tend to do, and then just clean them out. Or you can just even buy some like this. But like this is nice, so then you can sort of have a variety of different types of jar labels. But I'll show you a few different types of ideas that I have next. A really good idea. So number one is to take the stickers off your jars. This one's fairly clean, but it has a bit of residue down below. So I'm gonna take some stickers off both sides. So this one has quite a bit of residue there. And what I like to do to clean this up is use this thing. This is called Tack Attack, and there's all sorts of different things on the market. This one's a 100% biodegradable sticky glue remover, so I think it's a little bit safer than other glue removers out there. So you just spray a little on this thing directly and let it set. So I'm gonna do the stickiest side here. Just let it set for like a moment. It smells very lemony. You might want to wear a mask when you're doing it too. And then it just comes right off. Like it's almost like a very oil-based sort of thing. But it works really, really well at getting most glass and things with the sticky residue right off. And then I'm just going to put that aside and just sort of give it a proper wash. I'm just going to keep on doing that to most of these bottles that I need to take the label off of. Does this actually have a label? Oh, that's interesting. I think this is actually painted right on. So if that's the case, you might want to even just paint the outside of something like this. That's interesting. I didn't realize it was like that. And there's some tougher ones like this, obviously. Here and there, you'll get one that's tougher than others. Well, you can always paint right over some of this stuff anyways, especially if this is just for show. Anyways, I'm gonna put that one aside and play with it later. Just gonna try to take off a lot of these labels and stuff here. Oh, wow, this one's really on there. If you want to, you could probably always just put a label over top or a ribbon or something over top of it. But yeah, stuff like this, if you feel like it's really hard to peel it off, I mean, you could probably really scrub it off, but you could easily also just make like tiny labels or stickers or something and just put it on over top of it. So this I'm not going to be too worried about doing right now. Stuff like this, though, let's see if I can get this off. Some things peel off better than others, that's for sure. Oh my goodness, some glues are really sticky. You might want to soak this one, actually. I heard sometimes if you soak some of these things, sometimes they come off a lot better. So I'm going to do that before I actually attempt to get the label off a little more properly. Getting the labels off when they're fully dry is kind of a difficult thing. I hate taking this one off because it's so pretty, but at least I filmed it beforehand. It's like taking pictures of it. Oh, it's so pretty. The gold foil. Oh no. It's just so beautiful. This one I might have to soak as well. So I'll just do some soaks with some of these labels. Okay, so happy to report that this label came off no problem. I don't think I even used this guy on this much or at all. I just basically really soaked this in hot water. So my hands are still wet a little bit. Really hot soapy water. If you soak them for quite a while, it doesn't even have to be that long, but like for a little while, sometimes the labels will just sort of come off on their own, like they'll peel off on their own, which is kind of what happened with this guy. But the remainder sticky glue that is on here, I'm pretty sure I used like the Tack Attack as well. I found this worked really well and it looks really pretty, and I'm gonna have to put a new label on it, something that I really think is gonna be quite nice, I hope. Same thing, these guys came off fairly easily, it wasn't too bad. And there's still a little bit of water on the inside of this, but it's because it's hard to get out. Yeah, these guys came off pretty well, they're pretty clean. These ones were actually one of the hardest ones to get off, so I basically soaked these and then I had to put the Tack Attack on, and then I just sort of washed them off again, and yeah, it just took some time. But luckily I had some Tack Attack, and I think that really does help take everything off as much as possible. So I'm gonna let these dry a little further before I even remotely start doing anything with them. So the only thing that I really couldn't get any label off of was this when they're like painted directly on. You might be able to see some stuff because this is a little bit raised, but you can probably paint over something roughly and still get kind of like a cool effect with that, I think. So we'll try a few different methods here. So one thing you could potentially do if you got something like this is there are dyes on the market. So this is like a potion bottles dye. Can't remember if I got this separately. I may have got this separately because I think that that's basically what the thing was. So I printed off some pictures of things you can do with these kind of dyes. But as you can see here, they have two different shapes for labels that you could make. So what I was thinking of doing is taking this label shape and then maybe the other label shape and cutting it out of some sort of sticker paper. And then I was actually thinking of maybe making a big label for like one of the bigger jars. So cutting this out of holographic sticker paper that I have, and then there's white sticker paper that I could make the bones out of. And I think that would be a really cool potion bottle that I could do. Or I could even do something like this. Cut that as well out of the holographic paper. There's lots to do, but you don't have to use the whole die if you don't want to make like a bottle. So I basically used this guy to make this little label, and I think it looks really cute. And then I used the other one to make this little label. So this guy I'm probably not going to use for this project because I realized that though it looks really cool, I don't really have a lot of flat bottles to put this on. A lot of my bottles are kind of rounder, so I'll end up doing something probably a little different with that. So I have two different bottles that this one here could fit on. So it could either go on this bottle right here, which looks pretty cool. Kind of fits a little too perfectly though, I'd say. But I think I might actually put it on this one and maybe do something cool at the top here, just to sort of tie things in a little bit better. Because this bottle looks really like a poison bottle to me anyways. Yeah, I'll just do that. So it's just a sticker. I put it on the sticker paper, and then this white stuff was actually a sticker paper too when I cut them out. So basically I'll just try to line it up as best as I can because it's pretty flat, this one here, and then just smooth it down in place. There we go. Now we've got a really cool different looking poison bottle. I mean, you can do whatever you want, so you don't actually have to do anything similarly to me. This is just an idea that I had. You don't have to get holographic paper specifically or anything like that. You can do sparkly. You don't even have to do anything too fancy. You can even choose different colors if you really wanted to, but this is what I kind of chose to do for this particular bottle, and I think it looks pretty cool on its own, honestly. But yeah, I'll probably end up putting something around the top just to make it look even cooler. So I really like the look of this bottle, but I also feel like this label is kind of out of place, so I'm going to tie this label in because I bought this. Something that people tape up, I think, just so that birds won't run into something, I guess. Some sort of reflective tape. It's kind of cool. It sort of has this hologrammy effect. Matches this hologram look here. So I thought that'd be really cool to put around the neck of the bottle just to tie things in. I'm just going to cut up a bit and then stick this around. There we go. So that looks kind of like the bottle is meant to be like this. It kind of matches much better. But I think it looks kind of different, looks kind of fun and kind of nice. Just an idea for you guys. So another thing you could do is potentially put some weird, spooky, creepy things in the jar. Maybe paint the lid or something like that. Or even put some twine around or a creepy looking ribbon. So you can put oddities in there. Like it doesn't have to be teeth. It could be fake eyeballs or something like that. I'm also going to put some fake spiders that I bought from Amazon. And I think I'm going to paint the top of this and put the spiders in here. Lots of weird little rubber spiders, which might be good for crafting. These jars in particular too. Obviously putting inside the jars because it looks cool, especially for Halloween. And are they gonna fit perfectly? Nice. So basically that's filled to the brim with creepy spiders. And then I have little black rings so I can turn this into little spider rings if I wanted to. So that's kind of like a fun idea. I might end up using these guys too in the future. So another thing that I might end up doing is, obviously I'm not a big fan of this bottle. Like, I can't peel this thing off on its own. So what I might do is get some chalkboard paint and paint it up on the outside to sort of rough it up a little bit. And hopefully that'll look really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, you can use chalk paint in general, not chalkboard paint, but chalk paint in general. And I think that could stick to the glass really well. I'm hoping that the chalkboard paint will do the same. We'll see how that goes. So if you want to, you can even, keeping in theme with the die cut thing, if that's what you like doing, I've got a whole bunch of different dies for different types of creatures or mythical beings, which I think works really well on potion bottles as well. So you can cut it out just like a silhouette in different colors. It could be white like this. I'm planning on maybe doing like a watercolor wash on some of them, maybe drawing out details on others. So it really depends on what it is. But basically this fairy one came from this little fairy jar thing. I just basically cut around it so that there was no jar. So the jar would be the bottle that it sort of sits on like this. So this is all sticker paper, and then around Halloween I got like this spider web thing. You can cut the spider web out, which might be cool for decorations as well for Halloween. I got the spider for just like the top of like the spider jar, and I have a whole bunch of different dragons, like all sorts of different kinds of dragons or dies. I chose this one. I think this one's really cool. I mean, I think all of them are really cool, but I chose this one because it looks kind of mystical in a way. I mean, you can choose whichever one you want. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be the same one that I chose. I also have these mermaids. So I got this mermaid here. This one was too big for the bottle, although would have been a really cool shape, I think, for it. I also got, in case I wanted to do unicorn horn, I've got Pegasus as well, in case there's Pegasus wings, or there's a unicorn in here as well. And I also have either a Sasquatch or a Yeti, so I could do Yeti or Sasquatch for whatever. I think that works out quite nicely too. I feel like this would be really great as a silhouette. I don't think I'd have to do too many details in order for that to look cool. Yeah, anyways, that's the start of if I wanted to do more labels using die cuts. So I'm gonna attempt something with these things I drew in advance. I drew these three. These ones I kind of want to leave as silhouettes, but I'm going to add color to them. And you don't have to do this. You can always cut this out of already colored paper or whatever you want to do and then just glue that on to something. But I like the fact that these are sticker paper, so hopefully it won't bite me in the butt in the end. But I went around these already. This is a micron pen that I use. And micron pens are normally waterproof and archival inks. So it might be the paper that ripples a little bit because it's not really watercolor paper that I'm going to be doing stuff on. This is printable sticker paper though, so hopefully it can take a little bit of water, but I'm going to try to do some watercoloring here. And I'm going to use these metallic and neon koi colors for watercolors. I got this pack like a while ago and it's a really cool kit. My husband has the regular colors. It's not specialty colors like metallics and all that sort of stuff, but basically you can do this if you want to, and then use all these colors. It comes with one of these paintbrushes. I actually have one on the side already. It's already filled with water. If I want to, I could use this one as well. I have all different types of brushes here, so I'm going to try out different ones. So it's got quite a few different metallic colors, so I would say you can even test them on pieces of paper. This is kind of like a smooth cardstock. You can do watercolor paper, you can do mixed media paper, whatever you'd like, but I'm going to try it out on here. Hopefully it doesn't ripple too much. So I'm going to pick out some colors, and I have like a little bit of water here. You can use a sponge if you want to. I've got a paper towel towel as well to wipe my brush off onto. I'm just going to try out different colors. Right now I'm going to go with the safe bet, which is the pearl. Really wet my brush and get as much pigment on the brush as possible. So I'm going to do this. This is a Yeti. I want to put cotton in a bottle and do a Yeti fur bottle. So I'm just going to do kind of like a metallic silhouette. And you know, you can make this Bigfoot fur. I feel like it could go either way. So I'm trying not to get too much water on this because I don't want the paper to ripple. So you can even ink this stuff if you really want to. I don't have a ton of choices for inks. I like the metallic idea because it makes the bottle seem more magical and special. Glow in the dark stuff might be cool too. If you do like glow in the dark paints, that might be really neat as well. So even paint some silhouettes in glow in the dark colors. Bright neon might be fun too. But I'm gonna try to sort of stick with metallics for a lot of this stuff. And I just have the paper down below as just a surface. You can do whatever kind of surface you want to protect your actual work surface. You can go over this as many times as you want to. Watercolors tend to be fairly transparent, but I just wanted to give it a little bit of shimmer. You can paint on sparkles, you can do like a sparkle spray. There's like so much you can do with this sort of thing. I actually encourage to do whatever you want. So I don't know if you guys can see that. It has some brush strokes showing, which is great because then it kind of makes them look a little furrier as well. I kind of like that. Well, anyways, that's my silhouette of a Yeti. I can go as detailed as I want if I wanted to with it too, but I just want everything to look a little bit different. I may not use this unicorn, but I might use it on another project. I'm not sure because I don't think I have like enough jars to do like unicorn horn powder, but I want to see if this micron stuff is waterproof and doesn't bleed like it suggests. It seems to be pretty good. So this is the same stuff. This is the same pearl sort of color. And if you're feeling like there needs to be more water, the nice thing about this kind of paintbrush is you just squeeze out a little bit. But I wouldn't do it on this kind of work as much as you can. Try to keep things kind of wet, not so oversaturated. So this might be kind of boring to a lot of people. It's like, oh, a white unicorn. Oh, original, right? This I can see on an embellishment, but I can also see this on like a card too. So I just kind of wanted it to be fairly neutral, but I can always go over it later and do something else different with it. So I'm going to set this guy aside. For this one, I'm going to make this like a gold color because I want to put it on this bottle. So I think one of these guys is quite pretty. And I'm going to go over all the little details. And again, if you want even distribution, you might want to look into getting some nice gold papers. I have some gold papers that I could cut out this stuff onto, but I kind of wanted to do the sticker thing because it's just easier to make labels that way for me than having to get out glue and all that sort of stuff. Maybe I'm lazy, I don't know. Maybe it's efficiency, whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. To me, it's a lot easier. When you draw something on here and make it just as detailed as these guys, if you want to, maybe even more so. Going super detailed is not my forte. I might go over this guy another time to make the colors more solid, but I might let it dry first before I go over it again. You can even do stuff with acrylic with this. You don't have to paint with watercolor. I just wanted to try something a little different. I think the mermaid is going to be the most detailed one. So I'm going to go over that again because I don't like how streaky that looks. It looks kind of cool still. There's like a little bit of sticker paper behind that, but it should look pretty cool once I cover the whole thing with gold and it's not so streaky. I'm gonna do the dragon next. Okay, I think I'm gonna just try to get my husband's other paints for this guy and not make that guy so metallic, but I do like the idea of metallicizing this mermaid. I'm gonna have some mermaidy colors here to play with, so I think this is gonna be quite cool. So she looks kind of fish-like still. She's not a Little Mermaid type of mermaid. She's very much still a sea creature and has fish qualities to her. But yeah, I want to make her tail really pretty. Yeah, I'm just gonna blend those colors together. Again, you don't have to do this many rainbow tail colors. These are just very mermaidy colors to me, like the purples and blues. And you guys can choose way different colors than what I'm choosing. I just thought it'd be fun to use this kind of fun colors. So this is definitely a nice green here that I haven't used, but I think she needs. Oh no! Oh no! Okay, well, I'm just gonna make this part of her hair. Okay, I'm picking up the color again with the paper towel. That's okay. We'll just go back over that later when it's more dry. Okay, so she's gonna have dark green hair. I think that actually looks really cool, really pretty. I just wanted to try to put a little green here for seaweed. By holding up her shell bra. Yeah, that's my mermaid. I think it's quite standout. There's a bit of metallic, I think, happening. There's a bit of a small shimmer with this, so I think that kind of makes it look a lot more magical. I really like this ombre blend happening here with the colors blending into each other. I think it's really, really pretty. I might actually, here, I'm just gonna do one little thing on the end here. Maybe that was overboard. I don't know. I think it's kind of nice though. That's really pretty. I'm just gonna get like a different color palette here. Okay, so you may have noticed that I switched out the palette here. And so this is the koi watercolors. So this is the 24 colors. The normal colors, not like the metallic or neons. It's basically the same sort of palette setup. So it's a pretty easy transition to this. So I'm gonna try to find like a nice red, because I really, really want to color in this beautiful dragon here. I think this dragon's quite pretty. I might actually do a few different colors, not just the one red. I think this is a nice red. Nope, that's more of a pinky tone. Let's see what this one is. Sometimes it's really hard to tell what colors are until you swatch them. That's like more of a purple, I think. Ooh, that's kind of nice though. What's this? Is this more of a red that I want? So that's one red. This actually might be more of the deeper red that I'd like. Oh, it's a little more transparent than I was actually thinking it would be. Okay, this is why you need to swatch things. This is like a nice orange. Okay. So far I'm loving 017. So I'm just gonna do that as the main color of the dragon. And then either the orange or the other one I might use for other parts of the dragon. So let's just do that. Yeah, this is a beautiful red. Look at that. The pigment is just, I'm not even going on for another one. It's just really amazing how it's staying saturated. The only problem is it's sort of pooling. I'm trying to keep the color pigments from pooling all in the center like that. Okay, I'm gonna use another red for this part, so I don't really care if it bleeds a little bit. That's not a big deal to me. Some of the work I did on the dragon might get lost, but I'm okay with that. Kind of want this to look sort of darker and a little different than the other. So if you want to, you can even blot things if it seems like it's getting too, whoops, maybe I took way too much color there when I did that. I do want it to be darker than that. I just didn't want it to be so saturated with water, not color-wise. Color-wise, I would love it to be saturated. Now, watercolor is not really my forte. That was something I didn't learn when I was in college, because like a lot of the teachers wanted us to learn more acrylics and oil paint stuff if we were going to be doing painting stuff at all. So watercolor, according to my teachers, it was more considered a drawing medium than a paint medium, which kind of makes sense to me, I guess, but it seemed kind of weird at the time to be told that. To me, that's strange because it's called watercolor paints, right? Like it's a paint palette. But anyway, I'm just gonna keep going, trying to make this like a really bright red. And you can go over this with markers too. You really don't have to do watercolor stuff. Markers, ink. You can do ink pad stuff if you want to, because I know a lot of people like to blend with inks, ink pads and things like that. If you want to make silhouettes with just inks, that's perfectly fine. You can totally do stuff like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put this guy aside for now, just for the time being, because I'm gonna fill this other stuff in a bit. I just don't want colors bleeding and blending together too much like I did that one time with the mermaid. I wasn't into that. So I'm gonna try to just do like a black spider here. So unique, right? Black spider. Who would have thought the spider was going to be black? It almost seems kind of pointless that I'm doing watercolor with this stuff, but you can totally use watercolor if you want to on this sort of surface. That's perfectly fine. If it had more of an actual watercolor look to it, I think that would look really neat. I think it lends itself well to the mermaid for sure. But yeah, if that's the look you're going for, if you like the watercolor look, then by all means do that. It still might look pretty creepy with the spider. It's kind of pooling on the spider a little bit in this fun way. I like how that's turning out too. So I'm gonna put this guy aside. I'm gonna actually use another paintbrush here for this guy. I like this sort of orangey color. Oh, it looked a little bit more transparent before. Maybe I just didn't add a lot of water there, which is probably fine. And you can totally like change the colors of things, blend things out to other colors if you wanted to. Like so. If I wanted to, maybe I could try like another orangey color. Have almost like fiery wings. Fire like tips of the wings. Just gonna go over this again, just to make things a little more fiery looking. But yeah, I know a lot of people like to use watercolor for watercolor effects and to make things look super transparent. And that's definitely how watercolor is traditionally used. But you can also add as little water as possible to make more saturated colors and pigments. And I think hopefully that was a good enough demonstration of that effect. I kind of think that it looks really cool. I don't think the camera captures it actually that well. But then yeah, if you really want almost like a watercolory effect, you can do that too. I think that the spider needs to be a little bit darker and color it in a lot more solid black So you can do either way. That's that. So another interesting thing to try might be, this one's called pops of color, or sometimes there's like nouveau drops. There's all different types of things, basically where you squeeze out just like a little bit of color and it normally keeps its shape. What I would do with this is, you might want to paint this on too, but if you wanted to, you can even squeeze some of this on and just give more of a 3D effect, which might be kind of cool for a little bit of dimension to your labels as well. I'm just going to do sort of like a squiggly effect because I want it to look like fur. You can even brush this on if you don't want to use something like this, because this is such a small amount of paint and it's meant for more card embellishing. These are small embellishments as well, so it hopefully won't be too bad. But if you really want labels to look much different than the other labels, this might be something fun for you guys to try. This is an option. So this is like a pearl color, keeping with the metallic paint that we have already put down and applied. But yeah, think outside the box when it comes to playing around with different mediums, just to give things a different effect, a different look, so it doesn't look like the same person made all the labels. It looks more eclectic, which is basically bottle collections most of the time anyways. They normally look eclectic if most people don't fully craft all their stuff and make everything by hand and all the potions by hand, like some witches probably would. Just buy some apothecary equipment from somebody who carries that sort of thing. Gotta be realistic when you're designing things. It just makes things look cooler, I think, in the end. And it depends on your aesthetics too, you know. You can make things as matchy or as eclectic as you want, and I think that's the neat thing about doing this sort of thing. And there we go. I think it kind of gives like a really cool effect, and it's still a little pearly, a little metallic, still gives off that magical vibe because of it. But yeah, I think that this is going to look really cool. So basically here's all the pieces in the end. Again, I may not use this one, but if you ever wanted to, if you get a pretty bottle, you can always get some sort of beautiful glittery powder, or you can get like some nice chunky glitter, and then you can just put like a little label with like a unicorn like this on the bottle, and it could say something like unicorn horn or something along those lines, maybe ground up unicorn horn. I think that would be really cool, really pretty. Obviously not for the unicorn. Anyways, you can see that some of the labels have like a nice little shimmer to it. He already had kind of like the same sort of color down underneath as a nice base coat, and then this guy got those little drops on top, which was a nice texture. It gives him almost like a fur-like quality for a silhouette. This I just outlined again afterwards, but she looks pretty cool, I think, and very shimmery too. If I sort of tilt her in the light, you can sort of see a lot of the shine. I don't think you could see it much before or after I did it. Obviously this guy, I didn't do him in a shimmer, it's more of a matte thing. And then this, I sort of went over with like a metallic marker, but left this original watercolor as well. So you can do that too if you wanted to, give it something a little bit different. This, it looked quite nice before actually. I probably shouldn't have done this, but I went over it with like a Sharpie, and it kind of gives like a coppery look, which honestly is not too bad if you wanted to just do something with just marker. Anyways, that's those guys. I'm gonna probably put some of them on the bottles themselves, or I'm gonna put a label down for label background. But another thing I wanted to show you guys that I got was, so I got all these Martha Stewart stickers, and so this is stuff you can get if you don't really want to actually make your own stickers. You can get a few different types to give a different look to your bottles, so you can have one or two of each of the packs. And it doesn't have to be Martha Stewart, it can be like whatever kind of stickers you can find. These just happen to be the ones that I found online. I may not use these ones, but maybe for like a Halloween party it would be really cool. This is some nice kind of metallic-y labels. You can sort of see the metallic and stuff here, and they're quite large, and they're great for if you want to put on wine bottles or like a whiskey bottle. It gives kind of more of a magical, mystical vibe to your Halloween party. And then these, I think I'm going to use quite a few of these. They're nice, and they also have a little bit of a nice metallic sheen as well, which I'm obviously kind of into and going for. And you can go for a matte or a metallic, something to make it a little bit special. These I had to buy a couple times, mainly because the first one was kind of destroyed. I mean, they look not the greatest, but it looks better than the other ones that I got, actually. And as you can see, they're lenticular stickers. lenticulars. So lenticular, I used to think that they were called holograms when they have two different images happening, or it's almost like animated in a way. I find lenticular stuff looks really spooky for Halloween, and these sort of things would probably look really great on some of these bottles that I'm going to actually put out. So I'm really excited to use these. I'm probably going to use at least this one or maybe the bat one. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to use which one or not, but they're all really cool. I really like a lot of these guys. They're a little pricey, but that's because lenticular stuff is not really in style right now, but I feel like it should make a comeback because hologrammy stuff is making a comeback. I mean, who knows? I just think lenticular stuff looks really cool, and I would love to learn how to make something lenticular. Yeah, so anyways, these are really, really cool in case you guys don't feel like making the labels like I'm doing. You can always just purchase some stuff like this as well. Probably going to use some of these store-bought ones as well, just to give everything more of a different look. But yeah, so I kind of want, I'm going to put some parchment paper down right now. So yeah, I'm going to paint some jars and some lids as well. So what I'm going to do, gonna take off this guy, and then I want to paint this guy as well. So I'm gonna paint these with this chalkboard paint, and I might paint this a different color. So you guys can use whatever you want for a paintbrush. I just like to use foam brushes sometimes. So I got a gesso by Triart called Sludge, and this is like an old one. It's basically tinted almost like a light gray color, so it should be fine for if I'm doing a dark color like black. Just going to gesso this up. This should stick nicely. And I mean, you can always spray paint this stuff too. Like a primer and a paint would stick to things much better. You don't have to gesso things in advance if that's the case. I'm doing this indoors. Okay, so I'm just gonna set that aside. This is obviously just one coat. And with this, I'm gonna try to show you what I'm doing here. But I'm probably going to set it up like this because it's gonna be rolling around too much most likely. I'm probably not going to paint this much because I want the lid to go on. If you want to make this a useful bottle, you can put something inside it, you can glue it down, but I'm not going to glue it down. Okay, so just sort of do that and then let it dry and then do another coat. So I'm just going to wash my brush. So while that's drying, I'm going to do something with this bottle. So I have these dies. So I've got like a square and rectangular die set, and it also has some stamped nested dies. There's like a whole bunch of rectangular ones, and this one here fits pretty much on this jar perfectly. So I think I'm going to actually use that. I basically want to get some paper this dimension. And so you can do this with, if you get different shaped nested dies and things, you can even get like oval shapes, whatever you want. But I personally want to do this rectangular one in this particular bottle, right? So I'm just going to test things out. I kind of want to place this Yeti right here on the paper. So I wanted to say Yeti fur. So I'm going to have to do some measuring of this particular size and try to make some very small font. And then maybe like just like a little background to make it look kind of like a snowfall, maybe some little trees, mountains, whatever, but I'll do some sort of little background here and then I'll print that up. So I made a few different types of labels that I thought would fit on a lot of these bottles depending on what I thought was going to fit on the die. So basically this die here looked like it fit perfectly for this label. So I want this to be filled with cotton balls. I thought that would be a really, really cute, useful jar, and it could be housed in the bathroom if I wanted it to be. That also makes cotton balls look a little bit more magical and Halloweeny and more fun. So I tried to look at the dies on my different bottles and then made the text fit to size, and I just did different types of fonts just to sort of make it look a little bit more magical or silly or whatever. Like this is kind of silly in case you have like maybe a green soap, like a watermelon soap or something, or could even be like a brownie color, which we have. So you can make it even something that's blood related, something similar to this. It could be like a more of a splatter look to the background. Lots of cool things you can do. I just sort of came up with this randomly. I thought this was kind of fun in Illustrator. I did all of these in Illustrator just really quickly. But like if you wanted to, you don't have to make everything from scratch. There's probably lots of labels you could make. Either like if you have like a cricket or silhouette or some sort of print print and cut system, you could probably make them fairly easily. I don't. I just have a regular printer, but you could easily also get stuff off of Etsy that people have made, or there's lots of different things that people have done over the years. But I wanted stuff specifically for my bottles that I've made. So basically just placing these dies over top and then cutting them out with my die cut machine. These ones, I didn't have a die that specifically went with them. These ones are kind of for larger bottles. I actually bought some for the bathroom, some soap dispensers. So yeah, so basically I cut them out. Before I cut things though, I put this sort of like holographic, it's like almost like a snowy thing I got. They got this from AliExpress, like in this package, and they kind of come in these small sheets. I didn't have any clear laminate material that I wanted to use, so I thought this kind of gave it sort of like a more magical look. You don't have to do this at all, but I kind of wanted to do something fun like this. So I put them on a lot of the different stickers that I felt needed not just a magical touch, but also a little bit of plastic protection, just so that the ink didn't smudge off in, say, the washroom and get all gross looking. So I did that. I did already put the stickers on some of my bottles. This one looks a little streaky, which I'm not really a fan of, but if I did some sort of painting with pouncing action and stenciled things, that probably would have looked really, really good. I also, as you can sort of see, I did the same holographic thing, and it sort of made that bottle look even more magical. So if you're going for like a more pretty, magical look, I think that sort of paper actually works really well, and I think it makes things stand out a lot more, and it's really, really pretty. So I did the same thing with this idea. Oops, I think I need to glue that down a little bit better, but I mean, you could do siren tears, you can do siren wishes, you can do mermaid tears, mermaid wishes. I've seen a few different things, but I decided to go with siren tears because I thought it'd be really interesting. So it looks like the mermaid's kind of going into the deep ocean. I sort of used the blue from the bottle to sort of make it look like she's in the water. And also I feel like this sort of gives off like a nice beachy vibe. So I think pairing it with something like this might give it more of a beachy vibe. And I might even make some sort of tiny resin shell, or if you guys have shells, that might be kind of a nice thing to add to make it more of a beachy sort of vibe. Say you have a beachy aesthetic. This is kind of like a fun thing you can do for Halloween. If you want to like decorate for Halloween, you can make some really cool mermaidy potion bottles. Moving along, I did this. So this was actually from this sticker pack. So I did two sides actually. So if you want to, you can sort of switch sides. So that's this guy here, and then this one is this one over here. So yeah, you can actually have two different sides if you want to. So I already made like a poison bottle. So if you want to like have a few different things of poison, then that's cool. Or you get to change it up a little bit and have something a little different. The at your own risk works really well and has a little snake on it, which I think is really cool. I wanted some variety, but again, maybe one year I might want a bunch of poison ones. It's nice because you can have options and you can put things on a couple different sides. So I was going to put this on here. I also did the holographic paper for this guy, and I think it looks really cool, especially on this one, because I want the Yeti to look like it's like in a snowfall. I put this on sticker paper, as you guys remember. I'm just going to take that off, and I'm just going to place this on with you guys. Try to center it as much as you can. Try to get the bubbles out. It's on pretty straight. And then I'm gonna put this guy over top. And you can do however you want. Like, I just wanted a more of a 3D kind of effect with this bottle. I just think it looks more magical. But if you want to protect it with the same sticker, I guess, then you can totally do that. I'm going to try to make it look like it's sort of popping out of the bottle a bit. There we go. He looks so cute, this little Yeti. I'm gonna put some cotton balls in here. And I think that that's going to be a really cute addition to the bathroom. And you can even, if you don't like the top of the jar, you can just paint that. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this pack. I think they're plastic actually, but they feel like glass a little bit. So this is great in case you want to put some soap in there and decorate your bathroom a little bit more. I have like a witch hazel one. Like, I actually have witch hazel. Instead of like a witch hazel thing, you can actually put a witchy sticker on something and then pour witch hazel in there. I'm just going to put on a few of these labels. Obviously I already did some of them. These are the simple ones, and I figured I'd show you guys what I did here. Just put the sludge on top. You are pretty much ready to go for that guy. So I made a smaller witch hazel sticker, yeah, so you can do something like this if you wanted to as well. So like it gives things a different sort of label. So you can have a couple different types, similar sort of jars if you want, or you can have completely different jars or soap dispensers, or you could put this on a bottle of witch hazel that you find kind of neat, or even just like a bottle and pour some witch hazel into that. But that sort of gives it more of a Halloween-y touch and also makes your jars a little bit more useful, which I think is really cool. Another thing that I want to show you guys, you can definitely use lots of different dyes for different types of things here. So obviously I used different nesting dyes. It's always good to get nesting dyes of different shapes. I've got square ones and rectangle ones and these kind of flower shapes, obviously, as you saw. These oval shaped ones. I have stars. I would say vary the shapes if you want to make more of an eclectic look to your jars. If you can, design specifically to those types of silhouettes or shapes. So I actually made this. I had this jar. It has this kind of lid on it. So I felt like tying this around here would give a nice look, like it's supposed to be like that. But I also wanted it to look handcrafted because I have this sticker that says witchcrafted on it that I thought was really, really cool. So if you want to, you can get like a jar with like a wider mouth or maybe shorter, depending on what you want to get. You can stick like matches in here and you can put a label directly on it. But I also wanted to show you guys, if you have like a smaller jar like this but you want to put a label on it and it's just going to be too big, because this dragon was just massive for this jar, so I was like, maybe I'll just put it on some sort of gift tag and make the label that way. So that looks more like it has been handcrafted by a witch. And I also wrote with my own writing. I'm not the best at writing in the world, so you can see that it's not perfect, but it's better than some of the stuff that I normally do. I just wanted to show you guys. I just glued this on. I basically glued some sort of cardstock here. It's just white, and then there's just a black one, so I just die cut two of them out, glued them together, then did this separately. So I did like a little oval shape and then this dragon's breath thing here, and then I glued the dragon that you saw earlier that I did onto here. If you want to age things, you can obviously get a brown ink, but this one's a gray. But you can also tea stain, you can do all sorts of things to age your particular piece. So what I want to do is I want to give it a little bit of an ashy look because it's gray. I thought I had brown, but that's okay. It's not a big deal either way. It's gonna look cool because this is dragon's breath, so if it gives an ashy look, that's kind of neat too. Looks like you've been playing with your sort of ingredient for a spell. So let's give this sort of an ashy look. So I'm taking one of these little brushes. This guy is really soft, and you just sort of kind of brush this in here. You can brush off a little bit too because that's a lot of color, and then you lightly go over, so it makes it look like aged and kind of ashy. And you can go right over your whole thing here to give it that sort of ashy look. If it looks brown, it just looks more aged, if that's the look you're kind of going for. Yeah, and basically I just went all over it, and it's cool if it has some variations. If you want to add some variation to it, you can totally do that. Give it some color more so on the side, but I think that that looks really cool. Like it's been around for a bit, and like there was some sort of smoke damage that happened. So that's another thing you guys can definitely do. If you want to, you can even do the same sort of thing to the string. That's really your call if you wanted to do something along those lines. I'm just gonna let that dry for a little bit, and then I'll come back and I will show you what it looks like on the bottle. I'm adding some baker's twine to this just to give the jar some sort of cohesiveness. So like it has the two black labels and this red tying together with this lid here. So I didn't want to really paint this lid up. You can choose to do that if you want to, but I just didn't want to do that. And then I'm just tying, and then sort of wrap it around a bit, and then just sort of tie that off. You can leave that dangling if you want to. Yeah, so you have this cool bottle that says witchcrafted, and it looks like the bottle has been used a bit because obviously it has this sort of ashy appearance. And again, you can take like a brown light colored ink and do the same sort of effect if you want to give it like an antique aged look. Another thing you could do if you want to give something an aged look, obviously the tea stain thing, or some people will also burn the edges of things depending. But another thing would be, there's a Mod Podge out there that has an antique finish to it, so if you wanted to look around online for that, there's that as a possibility too. I finished, might actually do another coat or two on this, probably one more coat, but I pretty much finished putting some sort of chalkboard paint on the bottle and the lid here. So then once you put the lid on, it looks like this cool fully black bottle. And then with this, I think this is really great. So I already put a little label on here that says spider venom, and again, you don't have to do this or anything like that, but that's what I wanted to do. But I think that this black lid looks so cool with this. If you want to, you can embellish the top, or even on the side you can put like a little spidery thing here. There's already a spider on here though, or you could put that on top. You could put the spider kind of embellishment on the jar. I didn't really like that. It was too big and it didn't look like it was going to wrap around the jar very well, so there's that as an option as well. What I want to do for this guy though, if you want to give it a dusty appearance, like it's been sitting around for a long time, the nice thing about this chalkboard paint is you can put an actual piece of chalk, rub it around on it. It gives it sort of an aged appearance, but also gives it like a dusty appearance, and you can just sort of wipe it away, give it sort of dusty look, so it doesn't look so pristine and new. If you want to keep it pristine and new too looking, then that's also fine. That's another option for you. There's also this. I mean, I think this is such a cool jar. You could wrap some sort of twine around the top to make it look a little bit more spooky, so you can get some thicker or thinner depending on what you want. I'm going to put this witchy thing on here to make it look like witch's teeth. It's actually my teeth. I got this forever ago from the dentist when I got my mouth guard. So you can just decorate this. I'm going to keep this top silver. You can take this off later and use it as a regular jar too if you want to. Or you can glue this on a little more permanently. But I'm just going to stick that right there so it gives a kind of spooky look, even more so, to this jar of teeth. I need to put something in there so it doesn't move around so much. But there's some teeth there. So that kind of adds to the collection of random things. So this is another option for everybody in case you just don't want to make your own labels whatsoever. You can get there's so many different types of art on Etsy that people have been doing, and some really cool professional looking stuff. If you want stuff to have like almost kind of like a different look so that it doesn't look all the same like you did it, then I would suggest checking out all sorts of different labels and stuff like that. This particular one, I got like a whole bunch for $4, maybe a little bit more than that, from the store PDQ Printables on Etsy. So I basically just wanted this guy here, and I'm gonna see if it actually works on this, because I don't even know. I feel like it's gonna be too big of a label for this. I might have to shrink it down, but I'm gonna cut it out anyways, and we'll see what happens here. As you can see, this Wing of Bat thing is quite large for this bottle, probably a little too big. So I ended up reducing the sticker to half, actually not even half, maybe closer to like a quarter of the size, and it's actually much nicer as a fit. So you can put something like that up here, or you can put it down here. And when you fussy cut it out, it doesn't have to be right to the line. It could have a little bit of a messy border. That kind of looks neat too. You could do it right to the line as well. I kind of like the saying Wing of Bat. It looks very Shakespearean to me, so that's why I kind of chose this particular label. Yeah, so you can do whatever you'd like there. And you can glue it on if you want to. You can Mod Podge it. I'm going to print up, I think, another sticker and just sort of stick that on like that. Here is the overall look of the bottle. I mean, I could have placed it lower on here as well. I thought it looked kind of nice up on the neck of the bottle. This one ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It was really hard to print up the sticker, and for some reason it changed the size when I was trying to print it up. Anyways, it turned out pretty cool, and I kind of like it. I aged it a little bit again with this gray ink, and it kind of looks nice with this one. Sort of looks like they're part of the same potion or spell. They look like they've been used for a while. Anyways, I think that looks really, really cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So here are my purposeful jars sort of all filled up. So I actually have some witch hazel in this one. You can actually even use the Yeti fur cotton balls if you wanted to use the witch hazel. I think it's a really good toner. It's really good for your skin. There's also this in case you want a hand soap. So just have regular hand soap in here that's sort of on the brown side, so it looks a little sludgy. You can get green in there, whatever you prefer. And yeah, as I said before, you can change the color watercolor top of the lid to make that a little bit more tailored to your aesthetics. These bottles are the more pretty bottles. I thought these were really nice. You can use them purposefully if you want to. It'd be nice if you put in here, I feel like a nice glitter. Again, you can embellish it even more than this. This is just like a simple version of it. Same thing with this guy. If you wanted to add some stuff to it, I think they both turned out really pretty. They're really nice in their craft area, I think. If you want to Halloween up your craft area and make things look still pretty, if you want to, you can pair them with the other darker ones just for a little variety. I think that they ultimately look beautiful. I think people have done stuff by putting like hair gel in this stuff, and they've made the bottle have something in it. But if you just want to do like a bottle collection thing, that's basically what I'm mostly doing with a lot of my stuff, unless it's the useful stuff that's probably going to go in the washroom. Classic Halloween. This display, I think that would look really, really cool on a shelf. I just added this to the jar just for a little extra something. Didn't actually stick it on, but you can always just put things on top of stuff. I could even get like one of these spiders and stick it on one of the jars. I was even going to add red glue or black glue drooping out from the bottles if you wanted to do that too, just to add like a little extra something. Could be like liquidy, could be powder. I kind of wanted this to be sort of like a powder, so this looks kind of like the powder is sort of all over the jar. So I really hope that you enjoyed seeing that. You can even use this as a base. There's lots of things you can do with just ordinary bottles that you've collected over time, and again, make it look like you've got them from different stores. But yeah, if you want to, you can totally mix and match jars as well. But I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. You can even put the sludge in there. Look at all these bottles that we made. We made quite a few. Sorry, don't mind my background there. Yeah, look at all the bottles we made. That's a lot. Have fun with decorating bottles. Just go for it, guys.
That's basically my jars and bottles, and I like how a lot of them turned out. I think the Yeti, I'm not sure if I'm loving the top. I might repaint that because the green and the blue don't really seem to go together very well, but maybe I'll do a lighter blue or something for this bottle top. But the actual jar itself, I mean, again, I'm not great with fonts, not a huge fan of the fonts that I chose. I need to download some fonts. Basically, I was just sticking with the Illustrator fonts that were provided with the program, and this is an old Illustrator program that I have on my computer. I think this turned out pretty cute. And then I'm obviously going to put the stuff in the bathroom. So my sludge, my soap, and my witch hazel, the witch hazel and the cotton balls can really go well together in the bathroom. But I think I'm going to put this guy in another bathroom because I think these two don't look that great together because they're just too matchy. Trying to go for the eclectic vibe. I also got this later after I did the video. So this is a D.I.Y Distress ink, Tim Holtz ink. And then this is similar. It's the same sort of brand and it's antique linen. So you can totally use, this one's a little bit darker if you want that sort of vibe. But these are really great inks that you can use similarly to the gray ink that I use for the Wing of Bat bottle that I did. I think it looks really cool with the gray because it sort of looks like smoke damage has happened and it looks kind of grosser and darker. It doesn't really look great with my white wall, my blue wall, and all that sort of decor or whatever, but if I had like a darker wall or some sort of sheet behind me, like if I had like a dark cloth, even some spooky spider webs or whatever, I might have to go out and buy some. If I had some spider web, I think that would just look really cool with that sort of stuff. Anyways, but I'm enjoying decorating my space. As you can see, I've got the poison bottle here and I've got like a magic 8-ball. This is like a hat that I've had in most of my videos. I don't even know what that hat's called actually. I would like to know that at some point. If you guys know what this kind of hat is called, please let me know. But I also have some sort of fortune telling stuff over here. That my husband thought was like a fairy and I'm like, no, it's a flying monkey and it's like super creepy. I just thought it was like the creepiest thing. I don't know. I also got like the Candyland game here. I've had the Candyland game here for a long time. Obviously there's Stay Puft is here all year round. I love Stay Puft. I just turn him away so you guys can't see him in the video sometimes. You might see his hand poking out a little bit. He's waving at you. But I normally have him in the background of a lot of my videos. And same with like, this Candyland thing. And I thought, Candy, Halloween, I can keep it here. It's fine. It's a little bit fun colors. I might keep it up for Christmas and stuff too because of the candy cane kind of look to it. My clue game and some fortune telling ball, like a purple fortune telling ball. I paired this cool, I'm gonna bring this down. It looks really neat. I like it. It's basically matches. I don't even know where I got this and how long ago I got this. It's probably quite a few years ago. So I don't even know if you can get this anymore, but it's kind of like you can decorate things with both sides of this if you wanted to make things a little bit spookier. It's like a long matchbox. Yeah, so it's like like a big thing of matches, and it has like the little match thing on the side. So these are the only matches we have at my place. Yeah, anyways, I paired this up there with the dragon bottle because I feel like matches go with dragon's breath. So and then I've got obviously these other jars and stuff up here, some pumpkins. This is pretty cool too. I'm gonna bring this down as well. Oh, this is my fun Lydia shirt that says strange and unusual, and Lydia Dietz is floating around, in case you guys are into that. But I also have these cool creepy doll things that I think you can hang them on a Christmas tree or Halloween tree or whatever you've got. But I have them in this really cool paint jar, but it's like see-through. It's a little dusty, so it kind of gives off spooky vibes. And then I've got my pretty bottles and things near my blue pumpkins. I'm just gonna sign off, I guess, because this is such a long video, but really hope you guys had an awesome time hanging out with me today, and hopefully you guys can do some recycling of your own and make some really fun and cute, cool home decor with your recycling. Anyways, take care everybody. Have a good one. Bye! That was like a spookier bye than normal, I feel. Okay, bye!